Hi guys, and welcome to Beginners MySQL Connection C# tutorial. And just before we start guys, can you please subscribe to the channel, and that helps a lot. So just to let you guys know what's happening here we have barcodes, of which I'm going to show you guys how to put something like that together. And we have a search button here. Then we have the various buttons that will add more data if you want. You can click on reset, and let's assume we want to add new members, and the name, let's say the name is Femi Jones, and address of Mr. Jones is Goodman Street. Mr. Jones, mail, mobile number, postcode, email fjones@gmail.com. Member type, let's assume it's a monthly member. There, all we then need to do is just to click on add new. There we go. So let's go scroll right down, see if we can find Femi Jones. That's Mr. Femi Jones right there. And one good thing about this is we can also have a look at the database, and let's just click on the Workbench database itself. That is it, MySQL Workbench database. And I'm just going to click on refresh, scroll right down, and right there, that's Mr. Femi Jones right there. Okay, so we can minimize that. The other thing that we can do with this system is we can actually search for any of, let's assume we want to search for Paul Parker. Let's enter Paul Parker membership number and just click on search. There we go, that's Paul Parker's information right there. And the other thing that we can do is we can also display individual data in there. Let's say you want to display John. We know we have a lot of John in there, so all we just need to do is just enter John in there and click on display, and there we go. Those are the details of John right there. All that we have is all about John, and we can delete as many Johns as we want because we seem to have quite a lot of Johns on the system. Check this out, and that is 889448. Hit on delete, gone. Click on the next one, and so forth. That's how the delete button works. And now let's exit out and start a new tutorial. So I'm going to click on exit, and let's click on new project. Now select C# and let's click on next. I'm going to give that a name. I'll call it CS_beginner MySQL, and click on create. Now that my development environment is ready, I'm going to make sure I click on the form, and let's select properties. Now pin that down, and what we want to do now is to increase the size of this form. So let's come in here. You see in the property where we have start, where we have size, let's change that to 1386 by 788. And just for you guys to know, the choice is yours. The size actually depends on the what your screen resolution is, whatever size you decide to want to use. Now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to go right up here. Okay, scroll right up and make sure you have your alphabets or alphabetical selected. Now come into where we have back color. Let's change that very color to cadet blue. There we go. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come straight to the toolbox. If you don't have your toolbox, go straight to the Windows and select reset, and then click on yes. Your toolbox should then appear right here if you can't find your toolbox. And what we open as well is Solution Explorer will pop up, and the properties will be displayed as well. Okay, now that you have your toolbox, you can collapse all of the dialog to just to the corner of your screen. Now select the toolbox, scroll right down, let's look for panel. Right there, I have my panel in place. I'm going to change the color of this very panel to control. Control is the default color there. And now let's increase the size of the panel, and I'm going to, let's make that about 95. Okay, 1346 by 95. That is good enough. So I might as well copy this, hold on to the control, click and drag. We need about 5 of those. And I'm going to copy another one. Let's bring that down. Copy one here. Okay, while at it, I'm just going to make a brief announcement for you guys. Please, can you kindly subscribe to the channel, please? That helps a lot. I'm going to click on this third one, just drag it that much. And this very fourth one, the fourth panel here, I'm going to also drag that down a little bit, and then let's copy one more. I'm going to copy this one. I'm going to be using that for my buttons. Let's bring it down and bring it all the way down there, something like that. Now we have every single panel in place. The next thing we want to do is let's just select it all and move it right up. Just tab it right up. Yeah, that's good enough. Now right up here, I'm going to click on the toolbox and let's add label. There we go. We have one label here. I'm going to copy that same label, put another label here, and I will need one label here. I will actually need about 3 of those. So let's select all of these labels that we have in here and increase the font size to something readable. So I'm going to make the size of that very label 24 bold. Select bold. There we go. And this very one here, I'm going to make that about 60 bold. Nice. And this one we should make that 24 as well. There we go. Bold. Right. And this very one, we might as well just change the text content of this. So let's change that to MySQL Connection tutorial. MySQL Connection tutorial for beginners. Okay, that's fine, just MySQL Connection tutorial. Now that is done, I'm going to copy this very label. Let's select, hold on to your control. We have one and another one here. In total I need 9 of those. Okay, so right underneath here, first of all, let's just reduce this a little bit more. Okay, I think that will do. Can always adjust as I go along. I'm going to add a text, some text box in there. Let's see, text box. Yeah, we have one here. And this very text box, let's change the font to 24 as well. 24. There. And we can just copy that. We have 2 and we have 3. And here we need 2 here and another 2 here. There. Then let's move this up. We're going to need this one right up here. Then we also need a combo box. Let's come here. We need a combo box. One here. And that very combo box, let's change the font size to 24 as well, something readable. There. And that's very combo box, let's copy it right here. There. Okay, in here we need data grid view. Okay, that is data preview right there. Just drag it out much, something like that. And I need one text box here that I'll be using for the search, and another one up here that is going to be for my barcode. Now we need buttons. Let's grab hold of button, drag one here, and that very button, let's change the size to 24 as well. And the fonts or the text content on it, let's change that to search. BTN, that will be search there, and change the text content on it to search there. Now let's copy that very button, click, drag and drop it here. That is going to be for my exit. We have two, just copy, and we have, let's go back in there, copy again, and one more, I think. There we go. Alright, those are our buttons, but there's one thing I should have done. I'm going to copy all of these buttons. Let's cut them all off because I need a pattern in there. Let's cut. I'll be back to that. Now let's select this, that much, copy, and this very one that I've just copied, I'm going to change the font, the color to cadet blue. There. Let's just reduce it that much so that it can fit in there. We can now drop the buttons in there. So come back here and just drop the buttons back in there. There we go, look at that. Alright, that's good. Okay then, we're getting somewhere. And let's just adjust it properly, and I will take care of that as we go along. Alright, so here, let's change the text content we have in here. This is going to be barcode. Pin that down and just come in here, change that to barcode. Right. And the text box, I want to change that to TXT barcode. There we go. Done. Now, let's drag this that much, and this one is going to be known as member ID. And we have first name, right, and this is going to be surname. Right. Okay, so let's change the names for the text box. That's going to be TXT member ID, and this is going to be TXT first name, and we have TXT surname. Now let's take care of this very one here. This is going to be address. So the text box, change that to TXT address. Okay, that is fine. And this is going to be gender. Why we call this CBO gender. Then we have mobile here, and the text box is going to be TXT there. mobile. Then we have this label here. Let's change that to postcode. While we change the text content, the text box here, to postcode. TXT postcode. And here we change this one to email. The text box right in front of it will be known as TXT email. And here that is going to be CBO member type. So the label will become member type. And right here I'm going to change the color of these to cadet blue. So let's come back in here. You can just change that to cadet blue. Alright, and this is going to be TXT search. That's good. Now come right down here. This is BTN exit. As for the exit button, come right down here, and this is going to be exit. This is reset, and the name will be BTN reset. I'm showing the whole steps because this tutorial is for beginners, though advanced learners can also gain a lot from this. So this next button is delete. The label on the button will be delete. There we go. And there we then have display. The variable name, that is going to be BTN display. When I say the variable name, I actually mean this name here. Okay, now finally we have BTN add new, and the output on the button will be add new. There we go. So each one of the components now have their own respective names. All I just need to do now is just to tidy it up a little bit and make it look much presentable. So if we run the program now, this is what you guys will see. So let's just save and click on run. Alright guys, this is how the interface is looking. The next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to exit out, and I want to attach the MySQL library into the system. So let's go straight into the project here. You see the project, select the project. Come right here, you see where you have manage NuGet package, select that. And select or click on browse inside this dialog. Click on browse. Now search for MySQL. There we go, that is it right there. You might as well select the top one, click on that, and where you now have install, click on install to get it installed on your system. Click on OK and click on accept, and there we go. The system is now installed on your system. Alright, so I'm going to exit out of this dialog. Let's double click on the form, and we now want to import as follows. Okay, right underneath here you see where we have the using system, Windows and so on. Just press enter. We now want to say using MySQL. You must import that very library dot data dot MySQL clients. end it with semicolon. There we go. And right underneath here, you see where you have public partial class from 1. You might as well just enter all of the MySQL connectors. So the very first one that I'm going to go for is going to be MySQL. That would be connection. There we go. And I'm going to just give it a name. I'll call it SQL Con. And that will be new MySQL connection. So that's the first object that I'm going to add onto my system. The next one is going to be MySQL Command. That's the next object, and I'll just call that SQL CMD equals MySQL Command. That's the second object. The next object that I'm going to get hold of would be for the table. So let's call that data table. So the data table, I'm just going to call that DT, and that's it. I'm using Visual Studio 2022. As you can see, it gives me most of the data that I need automatically appears. So the next one is, let's enter a variable, and I'll just call that SQL query. So that is my query variable. Now let's add one more object, and that's going to be my SQL data adapter. MySQL data adapter. There we go. That is it right there. And now I'm going to just call that. Let's go for, I'm not going to accept that, and if I do, I'll have to change it around. Let's say DTA, and that is going to be new data adapter. There. Now I also need the reader. MySQL data reader, and that is it right there. So the instance name is going to be MySQL RD. There we go. Those are the connectors that I need for my system. And the other one that I'm going to need will be the data set there. And the data set, I'll just call that DS. That will be new data set. That's good. So now let's create a strings, the string variable that we will use for the connection. Let's say string server, and my server is going to be localhost. That's the first one, and the second one, that is going to be for username. And the username is the root. Then my password. My password is quite simple to remember. It's going to be 1 2 3 4 5. There. All of these will be linked to the database. Now, for the database, so I'm just going to call that database. We can just call that maybe members. Let's just say membership. Okay, membership. Yeah, that's going to be the name of my database. Well, let's put it in a quote as well. Right, that's the name of my database. Okay, so now that I've defined all of the components that I need for my database, I'm just going to run it. You guys see how the whole system looks like one more time. Then we can start work with the data implementation or the creating of the table itself. So as you can see, guys, there's nothing happening right now. And welcome back to the second part of this tutorial. I'm going to exit out, but before I go any further, let's settle the database itself. So let's go straight to the schema right there and just click on new, this very one. Click on it, and we want to start a new one entirely. I'm going to call that membership. That was the name I call it on the codes. Membership. Now click on apply and click on apply one more time. There we go. My database is now successfully created. So let's come into my database that's known as membership right there. Drop it down. You see the table is empty, so right click on the table and select create table, and the name of the table is also going to be membership. Okay, now you see this arrow here, the double arrow here. Drop it down. Now my very first column right here, and I'm going to enter as follows. Let's call that MEMID. Okay, that would stand for membership ID, and it's just going to be integer. So I'm going to click on this. That is the primary key, and it's not going to be empty. Okay, that is it right there. Now go to the next column. I'm just going to enter in there first name. 45 is good enough. See varchar, which means variable character. Now surname, I'm going to leave that as 45 as well. I'm going to enter address, and after that I'll just enter, let's just say postcode for that code. Yeah, that is fine. Then gender, then mobile, email, and finally I'm going to enter M type. That will stand for membership type. Alright, or we can, yeah, that's fine, membership type, M type. Now let's click on apply. So you have 9 in total. Yeah, there we go, 9. And I'm going to click on apply. It's successfully created. That's good. Right, so my table is now ready. So if I select this table now, that is the membership table. If you double click on it, that is it right there. There's nothing on it. And that's all with the table. So let's minimize that. Alright, now let's come right in here inside my table here. Before I do any other thing, let's take care of the exit button. Double click on the exit button, and right in there I'm going to enter try cache, and the cache should be right underneath here. That's the whole idea, is for it to handle whatever error that we might run into. That was going to be exception EX there. And I'm now going to enter a message box.show. So this EX, that's a message that will be generated by the computer system if there's any error, or by the system if there's any error. And right in here I'm going to enter dialog result, and I'll just call that I exit. There, that is the name of mine. Alright, so I exit is the name of or the instant name for the dialog results. So let's say I exit, that will be equals message box. I would like you to show as follows: dot show, confirm if you want to exit. So this is going to take in 4 arguments. So that's the first argument. The second argument will just be the name of my system. Let's just call it MySQL connector. That is the second argument. The third argument is going to be message box button dot yes or no. That's number 3 argument. I'm going to put a comma there, press enter, and I will also add another argument. This one is going to be for my icons. So let's look for icon, and the one I'm going to be using is going to be the question mark, message box icon dot question, enter semicolon in there. Now we want to use a conditional statement to check the selection made by the end user. So we will start by using an if statement. If, open a bracket, I exit, if that is equals dialog results. As you can see, Visual Studio 2022 has actually given me the information I need. So I'm going to press curly braces. If I exit equals dialog result dot yes, then we want the application to exit, else the application remains within the system. So if we try that out now, let's run that and see how that's going to work. Click on exit. There we go. No, I don't want to exit. Yes, I do want to exit. So look at the question mark. That's my title. This is what is prompting the user to confirm their intention. So confirm if you want to exit. That prompt the user to confirm what they intend to do. So I'm just going to click on yes. That is it. So that's far better than just exiting out. So get used to that method. It's a very good way, and it's user friendly as well. Okay, that's the first part of it taken care of. Let's take care of reset. Double click on the reset. Okay, in the case of reset, I'm also going to use the try cache as well. We can just copy that and delete whatever we don't need. So paste that right in here. And come right down here. You see all of these, I'm going to get rid of them because I intend to use for each statement. So let's say for each, whatever we have inside the control. So for each control, so let's say that is C in panel. Let's check out my panel. I just want to see what panel this is. Select that, come right here, that's panel number 4. For each control within panel 4, dots controls, that will group up all of the controls in there. And now I'm going to enter curly braces and use an if statement. If C is a text box, okay, C, if that is the object itself, if it's a text box, all I just want the system to do is to get it cleared. So I am now going to say, put that in a bracket, text box, close that, and C, let's put another bracket in there. It's going to be within a bracket. So the dot clear is going to be outside the bracket. So dot clear. There we go, and enter parentheses. That is it. Taken care of. That should clear the whole system. But the other thing is, we have some other components that are outside the panel. That is one of them. 2. And this combo box, they are not a text box. So let's come back here. Right inside here, I'm just going to enter those underneath here. So let's say txt barcode dot clear. Now txt search, that's going to be dot clear as well. Then cbo gender dot text, and that is going to be equals nothing. Then I need one more, cbo member type, there we go, and clear that as well. So that's from here up to here, that should take care of my clear function. Okay, I guess you guys can see that. That's good. So let's go back into our program now. Now before I go deep into the rest coding, let's do one thing. You see this component here? I actually intend to make it barcode. So what I'm going to do is, in fact, let me show you guys the barcode where you can download the barcode from. I think it's here. There we go. That is it. Now the font that I'm looking for is known as C code 39. That is it right there. It's a barcode. C code 39. So let's search for it. There we go. That is it right there. C code 39. Okay, you can download that. All you need to do is click on the download link, and once you've downloaded it, you then get it installed. That is it right there. Extract it. Okay, I'm going to open it up, extract it, and you just double click on it and get it installed. I already installed it on my system. So what you then need to do is select your object and then go to the properties. Inside the properties, now come right here. You see where we have font? Drop that down. Okay, all I just want to do now is to change the font of this text box to C code 39. Just type in C. Okay, let's see, C code 39. There we go. As soon as I type in double C, and that is it. Select that there, and whatever you type in there now will then appear in the form of a barcode. Okay, so let's bring that down properly. And if I run the program, I just want to show you guys how that works. Run. There. Let's type in whatever you want to type in. There we go. That's it in form of a barcode. Okay. And let's make sure all our reset works. Click on reset. There we go. Everything is working. Now that reminds me, 1, 2. Those are combo box. I need to add some data into them. So those two components, this combo box, let's go straight to the properties. Now that you guys know how to create your barcode, let's go straight into the properties. Drop this down and let's look for item. There, the first item is going to be nothing. The second item, I'm going to enter female and male. There, that is it, taken care of. Click on OK. There we go. Now let's do the same thing for the next one. This one, select that, go to the properties, select items, click on that, and the first one is going to be, that will be annual member, and followed by monthly member and quarterly member. There we go. Click on OK. There we go. And that's it. I've taken care of those two components as well. Alright. So let's run it and see how those two components work anyway. So let's see, it's coming up now. There we go. Drop this down. You can select annual member, you can select female or male, whatever you want to select. That's it. So that's that done. Now that is done, let's put together some functions to get the database rolling So I'm going to now go straight into the coding area. So let's scroll right up. Right underneath my initialize components, I am going to create a function, and this function, I'm just going to copy this. I'll create a function. I'll just call it let's call it upload, something like that. So let's say upload data. That is my function created. So inside function upload data, I now want to get hold of my connector here. Okay, MySQL connection. So the connector is going to be SQL connect, and that will be dot connection string, and this connection string is going to be as follows. That would be the server, and paste the server right inside a quote, and the server is going to be equals plus server. That's my first connection. I'm going to enter plus again and open up a quote, semicolon, and the next one is going to be the username. Okay, so the username, we can get hold of that, and that's going to be username, or you can call it user ID, whatever you want to call it. That's the username. So I'm going to put a plus there, and the user, that is going to be equals username plus there. And the next one, that is going to be, let's say, plus password, and the password is going to be password as well anyway. So we can just grab hold of the password here, enter a quote, paste password right in there, come out of it, plus password plus there. Now finally we need to enter another plus. The next one, that is going to be the database itself. There we go, that's the database, and it's going to be database as well. So put this in a quote, open up a quote there and close that. Then here just type in database, and a plus sign there. So that's the first connection that will take care of the whole system, but this is the last one, so we should just have semicolon there. Right, so we now want to open up our database. So say SQL connect, paste dot open. There we go. So to get your database working, you have to open it first, then you have to close it at the end of the whole program. So now we get it to open. We also need to call SQL command. So SQL command, that will be dot connection, that will be equals that. So let's grab hold of all of these. Let's paste that in there, dot connection, that is equals SQL con. There. We now want to use the SQL command itself, the text, and what text do we want in there. I'm not going to use query for now, though I'm going to accept that, but what I want to use is enter my own SQL statement, select all from my database name, which is known as membership. So it's also The database is known as membership and the table is known as membership. So I say membership dot membership, close that, enter semicolon. So I've just written out my SQL statement. Now we want the system to read whatever we have in there. So SQL, we want you to read as follows. So what we want to do next is, let's ask it to just, so let's say SQL read. There we go, that's the read. That is going to be the command dot execute. There, I've just been given a hint of what to enter in there. That is good. Now that we've done that, we also need to get it loaded. So to load it, we need the data table. So the data table, let me just name it as data table. So that's going to be SQL, let's change that to SQL DT so that I can see it properly. Yep, that's it. The choice is just how you want to name yours. So my SQL DT will then load up the system for me. SQL DT dot load, and that is going to be load the reader. That is it right there. Now that the reader is loaded, we also want this reader closed. SQL reader dot closed. That is it right here, reader. There we go. We'll just close that as well. Okay, now the next thing we then need to do is, since we've closed that, we also need to close the connection. So this is a connection there, SQL connection, that must be closed, dot closed. Once that is closed, let's get our whatever is loaded into my data grid view. So I'm going to say data grid view, data grid view 1 dot the data source, and that is going to be SQL DT, this very one here, enter semicolon, and that is it. I've just finished loading up my database. Okay, one more thing, let's put together another, just one more function. This very function is just to generate random number for my barcode. So I'm going to get rid of all of this, and that is going to be reference number. Okay, that's okay. There, that is the name. So let's use random function. Yep, random. And what's that going to be? Okay, we just say ren. That will be equals new. There. A new random itself is going to be, let's say, let's create an integer that we call number, and that very number is going to take in ran.next, and we just need to enter some value in there. So let's make up some value for that. That is going to be, let's say, 5,000 plus. Alright, let's reduce this. Okay, that's the range of the random number. So we can make this about 32 plus. Okay, that's fine. There. That's my random number range. So we can then say txt barcode dot text, that is equals, we also need to, okay, dot random to string. Okay, number to string. If I call this now inside the form load, let's call this inside form load, and you will see that right away. So come right down here, double click on the form, paste there. If I run it, it will automatically generate random numbers for me. So let's see. I've just clicked on run. So we're waiting for it to respond. Look, the random numbers generated, but I want to kind of like fill it up. So let's go back in there. I also need, I might as well just call the, this one, load. Let's come right down here, call that form load. Where's form load? There we go. We also want it to load up the database. There. Now come back here to my function. This very function, where is it? There we go, this very function in here. I'm going to enter some text in there. Yeah, why not? So I am now going to say, just to fill up the add as an additional reference. Okay, additional reference, let's say plus. I'm going to convert whatever is in there dot to string. Dot to string, and what I'm converting dot to string is going to be number. I'll just multiply that number by 12 to speed up the whole place. So that should fill it up. So let's run it one more time and see that. Run. Once the number generated, let's see what was the error. Alright, equals sign is missing right here. There was meant to be an equals here. So guys, please remember to put your equals. I left those out mistakenly. There should be an equals. Alright, I think that is fine. Okay, let's run it one more time. Run. The missing equals was from my load data. That was the function. You see, that is what I'm talking about. And as you can see, automatically the database is now recognized straight into or straight onto my data grid view. Okay, just with this very function that I've created. Okay, so what we need to then do is to, when we click on this add button, whatever data we enter in here should be stored right onto the database itself, this very database, and also store on my data grid view. But take a good look at my data grid view. There's one or two changes we need to carry out on this data grid view itself. Look at the data. That's the table. All of these data here, they right from my SQL database here. Okay, you can see it's now filling up my data grid view. So I'm going to exit that. Let's select the data grid view, go to the properties. Inside the properties, we now need to carry out one or two changes. I am going to first of all have a look at the auto size column mode. Auto size, let's see, there we go, auto size column mode. I'm going to change that to all cells. Then the next one is going to be auto size row mode. I'm going to change that to all cells as well. Make sure you guys do that. Come in here to the properties again. The next one we need to take care of is going to be the default cell style. Default cell style, we need to increase that. Where is it? Right there, that is it. Select that. I'm going to make that about, let's come in here and make that about 16. Make that bold. That's one. What about the padding? Maybe change the padding to 2 by 2 by 2. Let's say 2 by 2 by 2 and by 2. If you want to change the color or whatever, it's right there. You can just take care of that as well. Click on OK. Let's take care of the column. That will be the column header. column header, height and size. That's auto. Okay, column header, height and size default. Select that. And we need to change this one to 16 as well. There we go. And I'm just gonna make this 2 by 2 by 2. There, click on OK. Okay, now let's just run it one more time. The changes should now take effect. So let's see. There we go, look at that. Okay, it's now bold. So when I enter all my data, that will stretch out everything. Okay, that's fine. So let's exit out and start work with add new data. So double click on the button add new data. Now before I can do anything, I'm going to copy the SQL statement inside this very function. Where is it? Right there. I'm going to grab hold of that. SQL connection string, grab hold of that. And let's go back into my button, double click on that button again, paste that right in there. But before that, I'm going to use try. Then in there I'm also going to use cache statement, exception, and right in here enter a message for my errors, whatever error I might run into. Dot show. I'm just going to use the system one, ex dot message. Okay, let's enter the ex in here. So this would be ex dot message. That should hopefully take care of whatever error I might run into. Now, so right in here, the next thing that I'm going to do now is let's come right underneath here and let's open up our database. So SQL dot open, and once it's open, I also want my query. The query is right up here. I declared it right up here somewhere. There we go. SQL query. I'll be using that in here. SQL query, that will be equals, we want the system to insert into membership. That is the name of my database, if you guys can still recall. Membership dot membership, that's the database name, dot the table name is also known as membership, and I will open up a bracket, and this very bracket is taking in the following: member ID, comma, first name, comma, all of those are from my database, surname, comma, I think I do have address, comma, I have postcode, let me check that, postcode, comma, I then have gender, and let's see if we can just fill up. Yeah, we should be able to do that, and I'll go to the next line. Gender, then we have mobile, comma, email. I might as well just take it to the next line. Press enter. Okay, we have email, and finally we have M type. Right, those are my columns. Now the next thing is going to be the value. So let's say the value, I'm going to enter plus in there. and the value that is going to be as follows. Let's say values single quote double quote plus the first value is going to be txt member id.text. That's my very first value, plus double quote single quote comma single quote double quote. Then the next one, this is going to be plus txt first name dot text. Right, so now I have my system now sorted, so I can just copy and paste that. The next one here, that is going to be txt surname dot text, paste, and we now have address, txt address dot text, paste. That's sorted. Then we need the postcode, txt postcode text, paste. Very good. Then we have gender, cbo gender dot text, paste. Now gender is in. We now need, let's come down here, enter the mobile, txt, that's mobile dot text, there. Now txt email text, paste, and finally cbo member type dot text, and that is plus quote single open a bracket or close the bracket, and there we go. So those are my components that go straight into the tables. Total, that should be 9. Now we need a command. We need a command to, okay, let's first of all, let's say SQL command, that will be equals new object, new SQL command, and this new SQL command then takes in the query and also the connector. Now that that is done, we also want the system to read it. SQL read dot execute, or equals command equals SQL command dot execute reader. There. Once all of that is done, you must then close the SQL connector dot close and enter parentheses, and that is it, done. Okay, now that that is done, you see underneath here you can just say, let's say finally, I want you to just close everything for me. Make sure it is closed, and once it's closed, I want the following to happen. I'm going to copy this, paste that underneath there, and right underneath here I'm now going to call my unload function. No, it's called upload data, the function. And yeah, I might as well call the reference number function as well. Reference number, ref number, yeah. I guess that is what it's called. No, that's a T. That should have been F. Right. And that's, I believe that's all there is to it for add new data. So have a good look at the lines of code, take it from here. Okay, that is for my server and so on. Now open the database. Now put together your SQL statement. Okay, enter all of the columns and the data that goes into the column, the location of the data. There they are. Okay, those are the text box and the combo box that I use. Now let me just save and run to confirm that it's working. Run. There we go, there's no error. Okay, let's enter data in here. That is my password and the name is Johnny Davis. An address of Johnny Davis, that's going to be number 109 Goldstown. And here, mail, mobile number, yep, and the code. Email, Johnny@gmail, and member type annual. There, that is it. So decision time, I will now click on this. There we go, look at that. I've been able to add my data. Let's see if he's going to accept the same primary key. Nope, duplicate. Okay, thank you, it's working. And to then check if this information of John is added to my database, I'm going to click on the database here. Look at it, there's nothing in there, so I'm going to have to click on refresh. There we go, look at that. The information of Johnny is added to the database as well. That is brilliant. So let's exit out. There we go. Now the next thing that we want to do, let's double click on, you see this, let's double click on this and do as follows. No, we don't double click on it. Let's come straight to the properties and select event. Inside the event, and I want cell click right there. So double click on the cell click. So right inside the cell click, I'm going to start by entering try cache. Take care of my errors. So let's enter a cache statement here, copy that, paste that right underneath here. There. First of all, I'm going to add as follows. So whatever we have in there, once we click on it, I want the data to be displayed on the text box. That's the whole idea. So the very first text box is txt member ID. Txt member ID dot text, and that will be equals data grid view 1 dot select rows, and that is going to be 0 dot cells, and the first one is on array 0 dot value and dot to string. There we go. So that is the very first one. So I might as well just copy this. I'll change the rest around anyway, or just copy this. The next one is going to be txt first name. So let's copy up to here and paste. So this one is going to be 1. txt surname, paste, and that is going to be 2. That's good. Yeah, that is good. And we have txt address dot text, that is 3. Visual Studio 2022 actually recognize what's happening, which is good. So we now want the next one, that will be CBO gender. There we go. That's fine. Now TXT mobile, and dot text. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah. Then we have mobile. We also need TXT postcode dot text. That should be, yeah, that is correct as well. Then TXT email, and finally CBO member dot text there, and that's it. Save that. If I run it now, I should be able to click on the data grid view, and whatever data I have on the data grid view should be distributed onto my data here. So if I click in here, check that out. You see that? That's the whole idea. That's very good. Now let's come down here. We now want to take care of display. Double click on display. Using try catch, all I just want the display to do as well is just to more or less search. So I'm going to copy that, paste that in here. So this one is going to be searching the data grid view for me. So I'm going to say data view. I'm going to call it DV. That will be equals SQL data dot default view, and DV dot row filter. That will be equals string dot format. And what are you formatting? Let me use the first name. So if you enter first name, we should be able to find every other details. First name like, let's put that in percentage, and we have curly braces, 0 curly braces, and close the percentage with a percentage, and close the single quote. Now come out, say, comma, TXT search dot text. There we go. Alright, so that is done. So in that case, where shall we display the data we want? Where shall we get the data that we want displayed? Inside the data grid view dot data source, which is equals to dv dot to table. There we go, and that's it. So with this, if I have more than one record, it should be able to display the ones that I want. So let's save that, run it, and see how that's going to work. Let's see, it's coming up. So I'm just going to select this so that I can speed up things. Now the name here is Tony Johnson. And that's, and change the address. That's all road. Postcode, that shouldn't be the postcode, that should have been mail, and this is the postcode. I think the arrangement is wrong. My arrangement seems to be wrong. Okay, now this one, that should have been postcode, and the order is right. So let's say Tony, J Tony. Tony happens to be monthly member. Now click on that. There we go. Okay. Now let's assume we want to look for one of the members. Let's say we're looking for Johnny. And click on display. Only Johnny will be shown. Okay, that is how it works. I think the other one is Tony. Now click on display and Tony's details is displayed as well. Okay, so that is fine, working as we want. Okay, there is something here I'd like you guys to have a look at. Look at that. So gender has changed. My code in here needs to be readjusted. So let's exit out. Okay, come right in here. The following needs to be changed. Postcode. I'm going to make that 4. And mobile, I'm going to make that 6. Then gender, I'm going to make that 5. So the arrangement should be something like this. Okay, I think that should get it sorted now. Okay, so let's save that and run it again. So each individual data should be in their right cells. So if I click on here, male, okay, that's fine. It's working as I want. That's very good. So we now need to take care of delete and the search button. Okay, let's exit out. And I'm going to click on the delete button here to start work on the delete. But first and first, I need some data in here. So let me just copy. I'm going to copy everything that I have in here up to here. Just copy that. I'm actually copying the codes inside the add function. So let's go back to my delete button again. Just double click on it and paste that in here. Now I'm going to get rid of this. I don't need that. We have to write a different SQL statement for delete, and I'm going to get rid of the execute. Okay, now what we then need to do is to use command. Let's say SQL command dot command text, and inside the command text I'm going to enter my delete function, my delete SQL statement. Delete from membership dot membership dot membership. That's the name of my database, and the table is also known as membership. And that's going to be where member ID is equals at member ID. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do now is to now use command.new, okay, the object to refer to the query that we intend to delete and where the connection is. That is fine. Then we close the database. Okay, that is fine. Then the next thing that I want to do before I leave is, first of all, let's enter semicolon there. I now want to, whatever we delete, I want it deleted from the data grid view as well. So I'm going to use for each, let's say data grid view roles. I need roles. Let's say roles, might as well type it out. Role, yeah, this very one. For each data grid view row item, in this data, that will be this dot data. That should be this dot data. This dot data grid view. This dot data grid view one dot select rows. Selected rows. Okay. Then in there, I'll then say data grid view one dot row. Paste that there. Data grid view one dot rows. That should be rows uppercase. Dot. I'd like you to remove at item index. Remove at item. No, I want item index. Item dot index. Index. There we go. And that is it. That is all there is to that. Okay. So I'm going to save that. And let's just try it out and see. Okay, let's run it and see what's gonna happen. Hopefully that should work. Run. So there we go, we're running the system now. I am going to just more or less like clone this. Let's change the variable or let's change the member ID. Then I'm gonna change the name to maybe Tony Allen, and I will now add Tony Allen details straight. Let's say a Tony here, and change this as well. Let's click on add. So click on add. There we go. So now let's get rid of one of these. Select that and let's come in here and just click on delete. There we go. Look at that. We've got rid of that. But one other thing is I've got rid of that, but I still have it on I still have it right here. Okay, so to do that, I might as well call this vary reset. Okay, let's add it again. I'm going to add that. Let's see. Oh, duplicate. It's not duplicate. Let's change that. Add. We have it back on the system. So I'm going to call this vary button to delete whatever I have in here. So let's exit out. Exit. Yes. Let's go back in here. So right here, I'm just going to call btn resets underscore click. So let's just call it all at one time. btn underscore click. Then get hold of sender sender.e. There we go. Right, that's all I need. So make sure it's saved. Run. So I'm going to now I should be able to delete them both. Okay, now select Johnson. Okay, now I have two of those because I click on it twice. Now delete, and whatever I delete, I should be able to delete everything in here as well. So click on delete. There we go. Look at that. That is fine. So we now need to take care of the search function. This one here should be able to search just by you typing a name in there. Let's assume we say if we have to look for Johnny. If you click on this, that should just display Johnny. Okay, it's just to filter it. And this one can just search by We use this one to search by numbers, so I'm going to exit out. Let's click on the search button, go right up there, double click on the search. Okay, for the search function, let's go back to my add button here. I'm just going to copy some other lines of codes in there, so maybe just get hold of all anyway. Just grab it up to here, copy that again. Now let's double click on that very button, double click on the search button, paste that in there. Now what I don't need this, I don't need a connector, it doesn't need to be connected to anything, so get rid of that. Now here the query, I do need a query, but I don't need all of these, so just get rid of all of these here. In there all we just need is, let's just select from, let's just select all. That should be star in this, select all from membership dot membership. The membership, remember, like I said, that is the name of the database, and the table is also known as membership. That makes life easy for me. So select from membership where mem ID is equals as follows. Let's enter an equals there, single quote and double quote, and it's going to be searching inside txt search dot text. That's a plus, double quote, single quote, double, and there. That is my search SQL statement or lines of codes. Then you now use the command to carry out your execution here. That would be the system we have to read. Okay, then close the database, but before I close the database, I want to use an if statement here. Let's come down here to validate whatever we have. I'm going to copy the SQL reader, and I'm going to say if SQL read dot read. In that case, I want the following to happen. So enter curly braces. I want it to filter through every single text. So let's, every single component. I'm going to copy those components here instead of typing it all over. Just copy that and come right down here. Where am I? Yeah, that's my search. Paste that right in there. And I'm going to then delete everything in here. So let's just say reader SQL read dot get string. So come in here, paste that in there, dot get string, and the string that we get in the first instance, that will be member ID. There, you see how easy that is now. So I might as well just copy this and change it around for the others. Let's paste that in here. Now you guys understand why I copied it. So I will just change it, the data, to whatever I have on each column of my database. Right there. And there we go. And here, that's going to be first name. All is in lowercase. Then we have surname here. Change this to surname. I have address here. Then I have postcode. Here I have gender, mobile. Then email here. And finally I have member type, M type, I call that. There we go. else I just want a message box to say data not found, so we can just enter that in there. Message box dot show, let's say no such data, or no data found, something like that. No data found. We can just enter title for it, MySQL connector, then comma, enter another argument, comma, message box button dot OK, another argument, message box. Okay, that would be error then. No. Okay, we can use error or information, whatever you want to use, that's fine. Alright, if you want to change this, all you need to do is select it and just enter a dot and you select whatever you want. I'm going to select information. Okay, just informing the user that the data is not found. Now, we also need to make sure we close the database, and that is all to the search function. Okay, have a good look at the lines of code for the search. Take it from here, bring it down, and that would be all. Let's just get this one. Let's press enter here to have it on 2 lines. Alright, so have a good look again. Take it from the top, search, bring it down there, and I'm going to save and run, and let's see how that works. Right, so let's look for anybody in here. So I'm going to select these and just enter, let's say 455354, search. There we go, look at that. That's Johnny Davis. So with that, guys, I'm gonna call it the end of this very beautiful tutorial for beginners. I suppose you guys enjoyed, and please do subscribe to the channel. I am trying to get to 1 million subscribers, and hopefully I should be able to do that with your support. You all have a nice day now, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.